The bell above the door chimed as Emma Reeves stepped into Rosie's diner, shaking raindrops from her umbrella. She wasn't looking for a story that night, just a hot coffee and shelter from the storm. But sometimes, the most profound stories find us when we least expect them. If you've ever wondered if small acts of kindness can change lives, I promise this story will touch your heart. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to see more real-life stories that remind us of the extraordinary connections hiding in ordinary moments. Every Friday night for the past 3 years, he sat at the same corner booth by the window. Table 14. The waitresses knew his order by heart: 2 plates of chocolate chip pancakes, 2 glasses of chocolate milk. But only one was ever touched. Michael Donovan was a fixture at Rosie's diner, as familiar as the vintage jukebox or the neon sign that buzzed overhead. At precisely 6:30 p.m. each Friday, he'd slide into the cracked vinyl booth, order for 2, and wait. Nobody ever came. The staff had their theories. Lost love, whispered Doreen, who'd been serving coffee at Rosie's longer than anyone could remember. Waiting for someone who's never coming back. Maybe it's a custody thing, suggested Marco, the young line cook. My cousin's ex only lets him see his kids once a month. It's rough. Whatever the reason, they respected the ritual. They'd bring the 2 plates, refresh his coffee, and pretend not to notice when his eyes would occasionally glisten with unshed tears as he checked his watch. That rainy Friday night was different. Emma Reeves wasn't supposed to be there. As CEO of Reeve Tech, one of the city's fastest-growing tech companies, she rarely ventured to this side of town. A cancelled flight and a dead car battery had stranded her miles from her luxury downtown apartment. Seeking refuge from the downpour, she'd spotted the warm glow of Rosie's neon sign like a lighthouse in the storm. She noticed him immediately. There was something about the way he sat, shoulders slightly hunched, eyes fixed on the empty seat across from him, that spoke of a profound loneliness she recognized in herself. Who's he waiting for? Emma asked Doreen quietly as the waitress refilled her coffee cup. Wish we knew, honey, Doreen sighed. 3 years, same time, same booth. 2 orders, but always eats alone. Something about his quiet dignity compelled Emma to act. Perhaps it was recognizing the same isolation she felt despite being surrounded by employees all day. Maybe it was simply human curiosity. Whatever the reason, she found herself standing beside table 14, coffee cup in hand. "Excuse me," she said. "I couldn't help but notice you ordered for 2. Would you mind some company?" Michael looked up, startled. He had kind eyes, the sort that crinkled at the corners from smiling, though they weren't smiling now. For a moment, confusion crossed his face, followed by something that looked like disappointment. "I'm waiting for someone," he said politely. "They're very late," Emma observed. 3 years late, from what I hear. Michael's expression hardened. "I'm not interested in being tonight's good deed, ma'am." Emma felt her cheeks flush. "I'm sorry. I overstepped." She turned to leave, embarrassed by her presumption, when his voice stopped her. "It's my daughter's favorite meal," he said quietly. "The chocolate chip pancakes." Emma turned back. "Your daughter?" He gestured to the empty seat. "Lily. She'd be 11 now." The past tense hung heavy in the air between them. Emma's throat tightened as understanding dawned. "May I?" she asked, gesturing to the empty seat. After a long moment, he nodded. As Emma sat down, Michael Donovan began to tell his story. He spoke of Lily, her infectious laugh, her passion for astronomy, how she insisted chocolate milk tasted better through a crazy straw. He described their Friday night ritual at Rosie's, how they'd make up stories about the other customers while they ate pancakes for dinner. "We were driving home from here 3 years ago," he said, his voice steady but distant. "Rainstorm, like tonight. A truck ran a red light. I walked away with a broken arm." He looked at the untouched plate of pancakes. Lily didn't walk away at all. Emma reached across the table and took his hand. So you come here for her. I know it's not logical, Michael admitted. But here, with her favorite meal in her favorite booth, sometimes I can almost feel her with me. Like she might bounce through that door any second, telling me about something amazing she learned in science class. There's nothing illogical about love, Emma said. Or grief. They talked for hours. Michael showed Emma pictures of Lily on his phone, a gap-toothed smile beneath a mop of curly hair, eyes bright with mischief. Emma shared her own loss, a brother taken by cancer 5 years earlier. Two strangers connecting over empty chairs and the people who should have filled them. As the diner emptied around them, Emma learned that Michael was a civil engineer who'd scaled back to part-time after Lily's death. He'd thrown himself into advocacy for safer intersections and stricter penalties for distracted driving. His work had helped pass Lily's law in the state legislature, but the victory felt hollow without his daughter to share it. What about you? Michael asked. Doreen mentioned you're some hotshot CEO. Emma laughed. Hardly hotshot. I started a software company that helps small businesses compete with the big chains. We've been lucky. That's more than luck, Michael said. That's making a difference. Their conversation flowed easily, punctuated by refills from Doreen, who couldn't hide her pleased smile at the development at table 14. You know, Emma said as midnight approached, I think Lily would be proud of what you've accomplished in her name. Michael's eyes welled. I hope so. I worry sometimes that I'm living in the past. That these Friday nights are unhealthy. Grief doesn't have a timetable, Emma replied. And remembering isn't the same as being stuck. As they prepared to leave, Emma hesitated. Would it be presumptuous to ask if I could join you next Friday? Not to replace anyone. Just, as company. Michael considered her question, looking at the 2 plates on the table. I think Lily would have liked you, he said finally. She always said pancakes taste better with friends. The following Friday, Emma arrived at Rosie's at 6:25. Michael was already there, at table 14. 2 plates of chocolate chip pancakes arrived, along with 2 glasses of chocolate milk, one with a crazy straw that Doreen had dug up from somewhere. They made it a weekly tradition. Sometimes they talked about Lily. Other times, they discussed their work, their hopes, the books they were reading. Emma started joining Michael at community meetings about road safety. Michael offered engineering insights when Emma's company began developing software for traffic management systems. Months passed. Seasons changed. At table 14, something beautiful and unexpected was growing. 1 year to the day after their first meeting, Michael arrived at Rosie's to find something new on the table, a small telescope. Lily loved the stars, Emma explained, suddenly nervous. I thought maybe, after dinner, we could go to the hill in the park and look at them together. Maybe feel a little closer to her. Michael's hand trembled as he touched the telescope. She would have loved this. That night, under a blanket of stars, Michael shared stories of the constellations he and Lily had learned together. Emma listened, her head on his shoulder, their hands intertwined. I never expected to find anything like this again, Michael whispered. After losing her, I thought I was done with happiness. I think sometimes people come into our lives exactly when we need them, Emma replied. Even if it takes them 3 years to find the right table at Rosie's. 2 years after their first pancake dinner, they returned to table 14 with new companions, Emma's parents and Michael's sister, to celebrate their engagement. Doreen insisted on serving them herself, tears of joy streaming down her face as she brought out chocolate chip pancakes for everyone. On their wedding day, they left an empty chair with Lily's picture, a plate of chocolate chip pancakes beside it. Some might have found it morbid, but those who knew their story understood, Lily had brought them together as surely as if she'd introduced them herself. Life continued to unfold in unexpected ways. Emma's company partnered with the city to implement smart traffic systems that significantly reduced accidents at dangerous intersections. Michael returned to full-time work, designing safer road configurations. Together, they established the Lily Donovan Foundation, which provided support to children who had lost parents in traffic accidents. 5 years after they first met, they returned to Rosie's with a new addition, their adopted daughter, Sophia, whose parents had been victims of a drunk driver. At 4 years old, she was suspicious of the diner at first, clutching her stuffed unicorn tightly as they settled into table 14. "Why do we sit here?" she asked, her big brown eyes serious beneath her dark curls. Michael and Emma exchanged a look. "This table is special," Emma explained gently. "It's where your daddy and I first really talked to each other. And it's where your big sister used to eat pancakes." "My big sister?" Sophia looked confused. Michael showed her the picture of Lily he kept in his wallet. "This is Lily. She had to go to heaven before you came to us, but she's still part of our family." Sophia studied the picture carefully. "She has curly hair like me." "She does," Michael smiled. "And I bet she would have loved to share her chocolate chip pancakes with you." As if on cue, Doreen arrived with their order, 3 plates of pancakes, 3 glasses of chocolate milk, all with crazy straws. "For the Donovan family," she announced proudly. Sophia's face lit up at the sight of the pancakes. "These are my favorite." Michael and Emma exchanged a glance, their eyes damp with happy tears. "Lily's too," Michael said softly. That night established a new tradition for their expanded family. Every Friday, they would come to Rosie's, sit at table 14, and share stories. They told Sophia about Lily, how she loved the stars, how she could recite all the planets in order, how she once tried to convince them that chocolate milk came from brown cows. As Sophia grew, she developed her own attachment to table 14 and the ritual it represented. "It's like a special doorway," she explained to her friends. "When we sit here, we can feel Lily with us." The years passed. Rosie's diner changed hands when Doreen retired, but the new owners, touched by the story of table 14, promised it would always be reserved for the Donovan family on Friday nights. On what would have been Lily's 18th birthday, they brought a special guest to dinner, the trauma surgeon who had been on duty the night of the accident, who had held Michael's hand as he received the worst news a parent could hear. Dr. Patel had become a friend over the years, joining their efforts to improve emergency response times in the city. "I never got to meet Lily alive," Dr. Patel said, raising her chocolate milk in toast, "but I feel like I know her through all of you, and through the lives that have been saved because of her." They all touched glasses, the crazy straws bobbing. "To Lily," they said in unison. Later that night, as Michael and Emma walked hand in hand from the diner, he paused beneath the glow of the street lamp. "Do you ever wonder," he asked, "what would have happened if your car battery hadn't died that night? If you'd made your flight?" Emma squeezed his hand. "I think we would have found each other anyway. Different time, different place, but somehow, we would have found each other." "Because of Lily," Michael said softly. "Because of Lily," Emma agreed. As they drove home, past the intersection that had been redesigned with safety features mandated by Lily's law, past the memorial garden where a small plaque bore her name among others lost to traffic accidents, they felt a sense of peace that had been hard-won. Grief had not disappeared. It never would. But alongside it had grown something beautiful, a family forged in loss but sustained by love, a legacy that touched countless lives, and the knowledge that sometimes, the empty chair at the table can lead to fullness beyond imagining. Years later, when Sophia brought her own children to Rosie's, she would tell them the story of table 14, how a little girl who loved chocolate chip pancakes had created a ripple of love and connection that continued long after she was gone. How her father had sat alone, keeping her memory alive until someone had the courage to ask who he was waiting for. How sometimes, the greatest gifts come from our deepest wounds. And every Friday night, in a corner booth of a modest diner, a simple meal of chocolate chip pancakes would continue to nourish not just bodies, but the invisible bonds that connect us all, even across the boundary between life and death, presence and absence, loss and discovery. If this story touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories that remind us how deeply connected we all are. Remember that sometimes the most profound connections begin with a simple question and the courage to sit down at someone else's table.